Hi everybody. Today I like to share with you all my detention camp experience. This is the art I drew and this was published in my Jaffna displacement story, Miracle House. And I like to share that detention camp is not the same as refugee camp. When I was 7 years old in 1987, during the IPK time, I lived in the refugee camp. But 1996, when I was moving from Vanni, the LTT control, to um, Colombo, actually I have to be in detention camp to get the approval from the Sri Lankan Defence Ministry to go to Colombo, which was under the control of the Sri Lankan government. So staying in the detention camp was so terrifying, and it took almost 25 years for me to reconcile with the part of me who has lived in the detention camp, because detention camp there is full of fear because it was militarized and we were under the inside the barbed wire. You can see it, and it was totally controlled by the Sri Lankan military. And one time a relative of mine came to bring me food, so I went to the barbed wire to get the food, but the army started to beat us with a stick. And when we take the shower, the bath from the open space, the army will be watching us through the from the tree, because they will be hanging everywhere. So there was no privacy and it was totally under the fear. And also we were questioned many times, and also there was fear of death. And there was no freedom. Not those days we didn't have any phones or anything, and we didn't know what was happening outside. So we were totally controlled inside that space, because when we are in refugee camp, it was a choice we made to be in the refugee camp because for safety, and we had the freedom to leave whenever we wanted. But detention camp, there is no freedom to leave. It's like we have to be there forever until they release us. So it was a very, very scary part, and it took for me years to reconcile with the part of me who lived in this place. At the beginning, in 2019, when I started to revisit my war experiences, I only wrote things such as bomber, shell, Thadappu Muham is detention camp. I couldn't write a full sentence about like bomber came or they bombed us. I couldn't do a full sentence. And when I wrote the words, I used to have severe headache and my body starts to react. I used to have stomach pain due to just to hear, just to think about the army who was with the guns at the who was who was protecting or just guarding us. It was so scary. But then through therapy sessions, writing the story, 20 minutes of free writing, all these helped me to release the tension from my body, to release those memories and put it into words, and also making art, because some things I couldn't even write by hand, but I was able to do is just to show it as a image. So all these methods are used to bring the story out, to speak it loud, because it heals me, and also it heals other people, because I'm not only one Tamil person who have lived in a detention camp. So the more we speak, it heals even the world, because there are so many people in the world who had lived in the detention camp, or their ancestors have lived in the detention camp. For me, one thing connected me with detention camp is the Holocaust survivors, because I never ever heard before my detention camp experience anything about what has happened before in history. But reading the books of survivors of Holocaust, their experience, it was so similar. There was nothing different than me and them. Only the thing is timing. They lived before me, before even I was born, and I lived just 25 years ago. So that was the only difference we had. But all the fear, all the emotions were so true, and also there was so much anger came through this process. I was so angry at the Sri Lankan government, Sri Lankan army, because it was so dehumanizing to put somebody in detention camp. And I was just a 16-year-old girl, a teenager, and I was not connected with LTT. I was not trained to fight with arms, but they saw me as a threat. They saw me because I am a Tamil. They saw me as a terrorist, and that was a heartbreaking thing, and also a shameful thing, and afraid to identify myself, because when 1996, when we moved from the LTT control to Sri Lankan government, I never wore pottu. This is an identity for Tamils, but I was afraid to identify myself as a Tamil, and it was so scary for me to be a Tamil, because I know the pain of being a Tamil. Because being a Tamil means I can be arrested under the Prevention of Terrorist Act. I can be questioned. I can be taken to custody. Everything can happen because I am a Tamil. So that really made me to uproot myself from my ancestors, from my home, from everything, even to run away from my identity. But I'm really glad to be now as a Tamil, because I know my identity is Tamil, and I know I have to present myself, I want to present myself as a Tamil woman, and I'm so proud of it, no matter how shameful and disgusting and painful to share about my story, about my life. But at the same time, I see the pride in my shame, because I am a survivor. I survived through the detention camp, and I'm still alive, and I'm grateful that I can do that. So that is the beauty of this whole thing about my life story, being in the detention camp. So I just like to share it, and also I want to say forgiveness is the most important thing for our own liberty, because forgiveness is to come out of that painful incident. I no longer hold it as a burden from myself. I forgive, because for me it doesn't make me to suffer anymore. I am free from the detention camp. I am free from all the fear of the enemies. Anything can happen. I'm still a Tamil, but still I can continue to move on in my life as who I am. So I just want to encourage all of you who have lived through hard, bad, difficult circumstances, that these are the places where we find our power, we find our freedom, we find our healing, and we become unique and special in this world because of we chose the path we have already traveled through. And I really love to quote a phrase from Dr. Eva Edith. She's a Holocaust survivor, and she says that the history determined our past, but we determine our future by how we live in our present. So today we are free, today we are healthy, today we are proud. So these things are the one going to create our future. So past is a history, and it is create our past was determined by somebody else, but we have the power within us to create our now and our future. It's in our hands. So that past can't dictate our future and keep us in the detention camp longer in our lives, because we can, it's our choice. I can choose to live in this detention camp rest of my life, thinking the pain and suffering and not forgiving or not leaving that space, holding that pain within me. Or it's my choice to leave this detention camp with freedom, with love, with joy, seeing it far away and saying, yes, the pain happened, but I am no longer a person who is bound to that pain. I'm free from that pain. I'm free from that army fellows. Nobody can't guard me. Nobody can't do anything. I'm free. I'm free to take a shower. I'm free because nobody is watching me anymore when I take a shower. I'm free to go to toilet. Nobody, there is no lineup to stand for hours to go to the toilet. There is no lineups, no fear, no nothing. It's just our freedom. I have chosen to live now, and I hope that will continue in all our lives. Thank you.